Hello, everybody. My name is Shannon Drugan, and today I will be discussing the business World Wrestling Entertainment, or WWE for short. We will be talking about the Porter's Five Forces, the company's SWOT, the company's financial analysis, the BCG matrix, and the strategy recommendation that the WWE can follow. The Porter's Five Forces goes over the competition inside the industry, the threats of substitutions, the supplier power, the consumer power, and threats of new entrants. The competition for the wrestling industry is quite large, with well over 100 different promotions around the world. World Wrestling Entertainment, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Ring of Honor are considered the top wrestling promotions around the world. They fight for TV viewership with the smaller promotions like Evolve, Progress, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and Lucha Libre AAA. Larger promotions are able to outdo these smaller promotions as they have the most money to put on the bigger shows and can take up more arenas. For the threat of substitutions, any professional sport can be seen as a threat, like the NFL, MLB, NHL, and MMA. Sports is an entertainment source, and people have their own interest in what they want to watch when it is on. If another sport is playing at the same time as a wrestling show is, they will be able to take away, as the consumer must choose between the two. The cost of switching from a wrestling industry depends on if you watch at home or go to a live event. If you're going to a live event, a large wrestling promotion like the WWE or New Japan Pro Wrestling can cost someone around $70 a ticket, while an NFL game is about $100. At the same time, wrestling events are very unique and do not come around as often as a professional sports game. The supplier power is quite impactful as most wrestling promotions have their own shows on major TV networks such as USA Network, Fox, TNT, and many others. With this power, the networks can easily sway what the promotions can and cannot do, as it could tarnish the network's name. At the same time, if the network does not like what they have been seeing, they will be able to pull the plug, like what happened to Impact Wrestling. Because the show was not doing well, they had been dropped from their major network Spike and relegated to putting their shows on the gaming platform Twitch and hunting channels. Like the suppliers, the consumer power is also potent, as if the consumer has the networks that wrestling shows are on, they can switch to see which is better. Having the power to do that, this causes ratings to fluctuate and can be hard for companies to gauge what they can and cannot do. By doing this, the brand loyalty of the consumer has been diminished, and promotions like WWE and Impact are seeing their viewership declining. The threat of new entrants is very low, as there is a high barrier of entry when it comes to wrestling promotions and starting one up. For one, they will have to start out locally and have to beat out the smaller promotions to even be recognized by fans. Also, the startup cost is not cheap, as if someone does not have the money, it will cost someone between $30,000 and $50,000 just to put on the show. In addition, they would need to bring in people to be the performers and have different championships made. The next topic of discussion will be the company's SWOT analysis, and we will be starting off with the strengths. The WWE has a few of those working in their favor. First off, their lineage is one of the best, as it dates back to 1950 and Jess McMahon. Secondly, WWE has one of the best talent groups in the world, with top names like AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey. Next, their heir to the company, Paul Levesque, is someone who is widely recognized throughout the business, as he has been in the wrestling business for well over 20 years and has a proven track record of being able to put on very good shows as he is in charge of the developmental show NXT. Lastly, they have a very strong presence with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and it gives them major rub for public relations. Weaknesses in the WWE can be found as well, and the first point to look at is the overworking of their talent. These men and women are always on the road for 52 weeks and multiple days of those weeks, and it is causing injuries to these talent. The relying on part-time wrestlers like Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker has diminished some of the other talent's growth, and fans do not enjoy seeing these wrestlers being pushed. Lastly, a lackluster creative team does not help, as they cannot put compelling storylines and characters together to really get fans engaged. WWE does have some opportunities, one being NXT can become more globally when making new country-specific headquarters. This is already being tested with WWE NXT UK being launched earlier this year and will prove as a stepping stone for other possible countries. A better weekly programming will also provide fans a more spread out schedule. Instead of having to watch all of their WWE content Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, a new schedule of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday will lighten up the load and not be so heavily front-loaded. Lastly, having more marketable talent will also be able to introduce new fans to the WWE programming, as bringing over guys like Kushida, who made a name for himself in New Japan, will be able to bring not only fans of New Japan, but also those who are watching in Japan. When observing the threats, the biggest one that WWE must look out for is the formation of All Elite Wrestling. All Elite Wrestling will be going live with their own show starting in October and is considered the new major destination point for talents. Many free agent talents have already chose to sign with AEW to be a part of something special and to break away from the WWE giant. There's also, with also other promotions having better creative opportunities, the wrestlers want and cannot get with the WWE. And lastly, Saudi Arabia is a threat to WWE as they signed a 10-year agreement with the country. Now, usually this wouldn't be a problem, but with the execution of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi, it has soured a lot of the fans, and they do not agree with WWE continuing their partnership and have been boycotting the product that has involved anything with Saudi Arabia. The financial analysis for the WWE has looked very good, as last year would be considered a large step in the right direction as they worked on an agreement with Fox to have SmackDown being broadcasted through Fox in October for $1 billion. However, I was unable to find out the industry averages, as the WWE is one of the only public wrestling companies when it comes into trading. Thus, I was unable to find adequate information to bounce off of. The return on stockholder equity went from 13.6% in 2016 to 31.5% in 2018. For investors, they like seeing the 31.5% as it means their investment is going to lead to better earnings for both of them and the WWE. Return on total assets also increased from 5.3% in 2016 to 14.2% in 2018, showing the WWE is starting to get more money for their investments on the assets that they are using. Lastly, and most importantly, the revenue of WWE sat at $930.2 million at the end of 2018, which was an increase of 27.62% from 2016, showing that even with the ratings being down, the company is making more money than ever before. Next up is the BCG matrix, and when looking at this, the major products that the WWE promotes are their actual wrestling shows, so that is what I decided to use. The question mark definitely is NXT UK, as it's still early enough that they're not sure if the promotion will be able to succeed more, as there is still a lot of opportunity for growth, but they're not 100% sure if it's worth to continue to investing. Some of the stars that the WWE has is their developmental NXT and their WWE Network, which has been providing a lot of positives for the WWE and for fans, as NXT's become a cog that a lot of diehard fans can get behind, and the WWE Network has slowly started to add more and more programs that fans are going to be able to watch. The dog of WWE is SmackDown Live, as it is considered the smaller of the two major programs of SmackDown and Monday Night Raw. And the cash flow is indeed Monday Night Raw, as it is considered the flagship show, and no matter how viewership goes and attendance goes, Monday Night Raw will always be considered the cash cow. So looking at all of this, some of the strategic recommendations that I would put for WWE is fixing the in-house problems. With viewership being down from 5 million a few years ago to 2 million does not prove anything healthy that the company has been doing, and they need to be able to expand their leadership roads so that everything can be divided up and be easier to breathe. A lot of the show has become stagnant, and that is mostly because Vince McMahon has been head of the WWE for so long, and he's been out of touch with the fans and the product shows. By being able to divide up that power and letting others take control over SmackDown, Raw, and NXT, better shows will be able to come out of this. Well, that is all that I have for today, and I enjoy talking to you all, and if you have any questions, just let me know.